everybody, I'm Joey Paul and I'm an indie author, and today I'm going to be telling you about the time the writing bug bit me. This is basically a tag, but it came about from Robert Jones, a story detective. He did a video about basically his author origins, and I commented and said about mine, and he basically said this should be a tag video. So here is me giving you my information about basically how the writing bug bit me, when it bit me, and everything that goes in with that. I don't think it will be as interesting a story as Robert's, but if you want to check out his, the link is up in the cards and down below. So when did the writing bug bite me? Well, I'd always written as a kid. I'd always written stories. I was interested in telling them and stuff like that, but it never really sort of like bit me until I was a teenager. And I'd read books by like Hot Money by Dick Francis, and I was enamored with the idea of telling a story that no one else knew the ending to, and that you had to sort of like feed bits and pieces to over time. And I just wanted to do that in a way that kept the reader guessing and loving the story and wanting to know more. And maybe that was a bit sort of what's the word I'm looking for, above my skill level. But it was what I wanted to do. You know, I first started writing, with a friend. I'm no longer friends with this person. We were friends at school, and for a long time they seemed to want to hang around because I was good at writing, and to be blunt, they weren't. So it's irrelevant. But we talked about writing, we talked about being published, we talked about all of that kind of stuff. And we sat down and wrote this story together. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't happy with the story because it didn't have that mystery element to it. It didn't have that cloak and dagger element to it. And I really, really wanted to tell those kinds of stories. So I was 13, 14, and I'm walking around with this story in my head that would then become my debut novel, which is Blackout. And I didn't actually get to write it out until I was 19 and newly retired from work, told that I wouldn't work a conventional job again, blah blah blah, you know all of this. But that's when I started writing out Blackout, and the idea poured from me in 10 days and it was done. And I think that's basically the fastest I've ever drafted a book ever, or probably ever will. I just wanted to tell stories that were good mysteries, good crimes, good thrillers, that kind of thing. And it always drew me in the idea of maybe telling stories that as you wrote them, they came alive in your head. And I think that's why I've always really been a bit of a pantser when I'm drafting. When I revise, I do a bit of an outline and I follow that more closely because the story is done now and the story is out, and I can go back and make sure it fits all the bits and pieces that it should. But when I'm drafting, I'm telling myself the story for the first time. I'm letting myself see what happens if I go down this road, and part of that was the love of stories like Hot Money that really bit me as far as the writing bug went. I wanted to tell stories like that, and even though I knew it was above my skill level at the time, I wanted to get to the point where I could tell those kinds of stories. And I don't know whether I'm there yet or not. I think you always have to grow as a writer, but I do love telling those kinds of stories. Even though I've now branched off into like dystopian and sci-fi and all the rest of it, I think, and like urban fantasy, which, you know, I didn't see coming. So even though I've gone in that direction, I think that at the core, I'm still someone who likes telling myself a story and not knowing the ending and not knowing where it's going to go, and then being able to go back and fix it later. And that's, I think, at the very core of why I'm a discovery writer, and it's because of telling those kinds of stories that I wanted to read those stories from my brain for the first time. Which sounds a bit complicated, but it's basically the way I work. So there you go. So I was 13 when the writing bug really bit me, and it was because of stories like Hot Money and other mysteries that my mum was reading at the time, and we had them on audiobook in the car. I've talked about authors who influenced me. I will link that up in the cards as well. But yeah, that was what bit me about writing, was the idea that I could tell myself this story and then I could go back and revise it to make it into something that made sense for the reader. And that was just amazing to me, and it was really something that intrigued me and made me want to do it more and more and more. So there we go, that's when the writing bug bit me. When did it bite you? Since this is a tag video, I'm going to tag basically anyone watching this who wants to do it, simply because I can't remember who Robert tagged, and I think he tagged some of my normal tag favourites. So let me think. I'd like to tag Cat Bowser because I really like to hear her origin writing bug biting story. And who else would I like to tag? Natalie Gonzalez. I'd like to hear her origin story as well. So they will be linked down below, and please, if you do this tag, let me know. I would love to watch your videos. And basically that's it. So that's all I've got time for today. If you want to support my channel, you can comment, like or subscribe. I post new videos on Thursdays. You can find me all over social media, and my books are available everywhere. And don't forget to pre-order Cramming Chronicles The First Twinge, and if you do pre-order, don't forget to grab the swag, all the links for which are listed below. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep writing. Bye.